Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Shalom. I'm David Mensa, Israeli government spokesman. It's Tuesday, the 18th of June, day 256 of the October 7th war, when the Hamas army of terror invaded our country and carried out their appalling atrocities. Israel insists that the war in Gaza will not end until all of its goals are met. The return of all 120 hostages, dismantling of Hamas's governmental and military capabilities, and removing the terrorist threat. The precise framework proposed by Israel during the negotiations maintains this principle while establishing conditions for transition between the stages. To start today's briefing, I want to update you on our battle against the terrorists in Rafah. Skillfully, systematically, in stages, with precise intelligence, we've been taking apart Hamas in Rafah for the last month. We have operational control over the Philadelphia corridor, absolutely key in starving Hamas of terror supplies and freeing our hostages. Terror outposts in Shabura and Tel al-Sultan are being defeated. Intense operations over the past week mean operational control of the area known as the NPK neighborhood, both above and below ground, often with close quarters combat. We've eliminated hundreds of terrorists, hundreds of tunnel shafts. We've located upwards of 25 tunnel routes. The Hamas Rafah brigade is being dismantled. And in central and southern Gaza, our troops are eliminating terror cells, finding large weapons caches, AK-47s, grenades, again with close quarters combat. An Islamic Jihad sniper cell eliminated, with our Air Force and Navy making many targeted strikes supporting our troops. Yes, this war has exacted a heavy price, but the achievements of this campaign are many. To the north now, yesterday the IDF eliminated the terrorist Mohammed Mustafa Ayub. He was a key operative in the rocket and missile department of the NASA unit of the Hezbollah terrorist army in southern Lebanon. From southern Lebanon, Ayub was key in terror attacks against Israeli communities. We say again, whether through diplomacy or by military means, we are impeding Hezbollah's military buildup. Their stockpiling of weapons for terror against Israelis is being dealt with. I remind you that according to the United Nations, there is no territorial dispute between Lebanon and Israel. Israel's border is precisely to the centimetre where the UN asked for it to be. The state of Lebanon and Hezbollah, under the guidance of Iran, bears full responsibility for the deterioration of the security situation in the north, in violation of UN Security Council resolutions 1559 and 1701. As we say, whether diplomatically or militarily, one way or another, we will ensure the safe and secure return of Israelis to their homes in northern Israel. That is not up for negotiation. October 7th cannot happen again anywhere in Israel or on any of Israel's borders. Now the latest from COGAT and their work coordinating aid into Gaza, with yet another rebuttal of the famine and starvation, anti-Semitic libel that has been launched against this country. You know, we here in Israel cannot be the only ones to have noticed that the crimes of the 1933 to 1945 Holocaust against European Jewry, that of genocide, of extermination and starvation, are precisely the same accusations made against Israel. The very words that describe Jew killing, genocide, extermination, and starvation are used against the world's only Jewish state, at the UN, at the ICJ, and the ICC. whether unconsciously or in most cases consciously, the crimes of the Nazis and their henchmen are being hoisted on our shoulders so as to exonerate the crimes committed against the Jewish people. So here are the facts, as we say in the Prime Minister's office. The facts don't lie. Just yesterday, 174 humanitarian aid trucks went in, food, medicine, supplies, via Kerem Shalom. Since the beginning of this war, more than 35,000 trucks have delivered more than 670,000 tons of aid into Gaza. More than enough food to feed everyone in Gaza. More food and aid enters Gaza every day, 80% more food than compared to what was entering Gaza prior to October 7th. Only 62 trucks were collected from the Gazan side of Kerem Shalom, all by the private sector, not by the hapless United Nations. Over 1,100 aid trucks full of aid still await collection on the Gazan side of Kerem Shalom. 2 tankers of gas designated for the operation of essential infrastructure in Gaza went in. In northern Gaza, 6 bakeries are now operational. Together, these bakeries produce 1.5 million pita breads every day. Today, Tuesday, between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., the usual IDF daily pause in operations in neighborhoods in Khan Yunis enables the movement of humanitarian aid. Where there is hunger in Gaza, it is hunger orchestrated by Hamas. The food gets into Gaza, Hamas is stopping it getting to the people. Why? To create the very images that defame Israel. We here in Israel know that Hamas are trying to starve their own people. The international community are slowly waking up to that fact. So that's the end of our briefing today. I will now take your questions, which you should put in the chat with your news outlet. Thank you very much. The first question is from Joel Pollack at Breitbart News. Has Israel considered publishing a message or a speech addressed directly to the Lebanese people, appealing to them for peace? Thank you very much for that question, Joel. We'll certainly take that suggestion and feed it back here. We have in the past, as you know, appealed directly to the Iranian people as set apart from the Islamo-fascist regime, which unfortunately they have to live under. We have in the past addressed Iranian people directly. So thank you for that suggestion. We appreciate it. The second question from Joel Pollack is, why is all the focus on Lebanon when the real decisions about whether to attack Israel are being made by Iran? That's thank you for that question, Joel. Absolutely correct. We're under no illusions here that it's Iran which is driving all of the conflict in this region. Every time Iran gets involved in any state, they become a failed state. Lebanon is unfortunately a very good example. It is Iran that is facing us. They are orchestrating the terror against us on 7 fronts, from Gaza, from the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, from the north, from Lebanon, from Syria, from Iraq, and from Yemen, and Iran itself. All of them are being run by Iran. So you're absolutely correct. As we always make clear here, it is the Iranian-backed, Iranian-guided Islamo-fascist regime which is orchestrating this terror against us. They want to destroy this country. They say it very, very openly. And the thing is, Joel, when they say it, we believe it. Experience has taught the Jewish people that when Islamo-fascists or any Jew hater says that they want to wipe Jews off the face of the earth, we should believe them. And we here in Israel do believe them. Next question from Louis Boudouin-Larman from Agence France-Presse. Firstly, what did the Prime Minister and Amos Hochstein talk about yesterday? Thank you very much for that question. As I've made clear in this briefing, Louis, we are very, very clear that either by diplomacy or by military means, we want there to be a resolution for our citizens in the north. Don't forget that Lebanese citizens Lebanese citizens have been displaced from their homes as well because the Iranian-backed Hezbollah has embedded themselves and is firing from their villages. So that discussion was very much mirrored in the briefing which I just gave you. Secondly, media reported that the Prime Minister invited families of those killed in captivity in Gaza to his house this Thursday. Have any of them responded positively? Have any responded negatively? Thank you for that question, Louis. I haven't got any update on that whatsoever. Question, but just to say that the issue of the hostages, both the living and sadly who've already suffered and been killed by Hamas, is extremely important to all the people in this country, extremely important to this government, of course, and it's the main key aim of all the work the IDF is doing in Gaza and all the work this government has set out to destroy this terrorist organization, to bring back our hostages. All of our work in Gaza is precisely for that purpose, and we will bring them home. We will bring them home. Finally, not finally, another question from Jim Williams from Zenga News. David, each day you have the sad duty of standing at the podium and compassionately announcing the deaths of the brave IDF soldiers who have died in battle. Do you have an estimate of how many active duty members of the IDF are presently fighting in Gaza, as well as on the northern front? Thank you for that question, Jim. I firstly thank you for your words. It is my duty to say the names of the fallen soldiers and where they are from and their age and the sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice they have made for all of us that live here in Israel. And it's a duty which brings me no happiness whatsoever, but it is a sacred duty nonetheless. As to the other part of your question, that's a sort of a question which probably the IDF would be better placed to answer for those precise details of IDF deployment at the current time, both in Gaza and up north, and also in fighting terrorists in Judea and Samaria. Question from Hannah Julian of the Jewish Press. Khan News reported today that 2 Hamas battalions have been held in reserve and integrated into Gaza's civilian population for the purpose of reasserting control over the enclave on the day after, when the war has ended. Is the government aware of this, and do you have any comment? Thank you very much for that question, Hannah. We do, of course, know that the Hamas terror organization, which carried out and continues to carry out the most awful crimes against humanity, not least holding our hostages, which is a crime against humanity every second which they are being held. The terrible crimes which they committed on October the 7th, and the terrible crimes which they wish to commit upon us again and again, if given the chance. We know that Hamas will go, there is no low to which they will not plummet to in terms of their hatred of Jews. We understand this fact, and we are learning very, very quickly through the army strategy already over the last 8 months about how to battle and how to defeat Hamas. We feel that we are doing an excellent job. Our soldiers are bravely and boldly taking apart this terror army, and we are being successful, and we will win this war simply because we have no other choice. We have only one homeland. Hamas wish to kill every Israeli, every Jew, and every Jew on the planet, and they're also against, like their Iranian backers, every democracy, every freedom-loving nation in the world. And we are on the front line of this terror, and they will be defeated. Thank you. Question from Mark Weiss from Khan Radio. Can you rule out the possibility that hostages were taken via the tunnels into the Egyptian Sinai? Thank you very much for that question, Mark. That is an extremely sensitive issue, and I cannot rule anything in or rule anything out and I therefore I cannot give you any further information on that question in particular. Now the last question, that was the last question. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us here today. We'll have another briefing for you tomorrow. Please do stay safe, and in the meantime, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. Bye-bye.